Joshua, 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 you fidgety little man. Whilst editing this episode, this is just a little thing before we start, I should have said. Whilst editing this thing, I noticed how much you're fucking fiddling about on your desk. Would you kindly stop? Just sit still, for fuck's sake. Fiddling about with your mouse pad. I know you address it in the episode, and that's fine. I couldn't hear it on my end, right, through the Discord audio, but it's very, very loud on your end, and there's nothing I can do about it. I've tried editing it. I've tried muting it. You fucking sit still. You're not a toddler. Right. I've had me moan. Sorry, listeners, if you can hear it in the background. I've tried to do what I can with it, but yeah, you're just going to have to lump it. Enjoy this little catch up. Well, I say little. It's over an hour. Jesus. Hello, everyone. I've been I know this sounds a bit sad, but I practice in the car my intros so that when we get I do because I kind of want to like branch out so that I'm not just doing the same thing every time. I want to like spice it up with some things, and I want to have like things I can jump to if I don't know where to go, and every time I sort of practice in the car, I go, hello everyone, and I'm like, it's just the same. Like maybe I should do something different. Make like, hello everyone.
No, God no. And you did do something different. You didn't say who we are, what they're welcoming back to.
Well, they fucking know, don't they? Really now. Okay. Hello everyone, and welcome back.
It's very
to the
British.
OCP.
It's very
It is, isn't it?
Hello. Yeah.
Alright, mate, how you doing? So, welcome back to the OCP, the Original Copycats podcast. I'm Alex, and I'm joined by my good friend Josh, who's a regular on the podcast because he's a co-host. How you doing, mate?
Yeah.
That good, eh? Jesus. Right.
Yeah, doing alright.
We've just finished recording with Tom and Hardy from Zesty Life Hacks all the way over the land of Oz. I keep saying the Wizard of Oz because I think it's funny and then it's not. So, that went alright, didn't it? It was a bit of a shit show to start with, but now I've gone Australian. What the fuck?
Just be yourself. I love it. Oh, yeah,
dear.
Right.
How are you?
You've already asked that, mate. You're right.
Sorry, it's rather warm in my room.
Well, that sounds like a you problem, mate. It's not.
It definitely is. It's only affecting me, so it definitely is.
No, I'm again for the second time. I'm good, thank you.
Good. What have you been up to this week?
Work. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, same here.
Didn't ask.
I know, and that's the problem.
Oh, what? Do you want me to ask you?
Can I just say that one of my pet peeves in life is when you say to somebody, oh, how you doing? Like, how was your evening, or how was your weekend, or something like that, and they go, yeah, not bad. And A, they don't say thank you, and then B, they don't ask how my time was.
Yeah,
and
well, it
pisses
depends,
me off.
Because sometimes I don't want to talk about my day, whether it's good or bad. Sometimes I just don't want to talk about it. So I wouldn't personally thank you for making me talk about it, and then I wouldn't be in the mood to ask you how about yours, because I wouldn't give a shit. In that scenario.
I mean,
not in...
Kind of. I feel like, it's just common decency in it to be thankful that somebody's taking an interest.
Yeah, but if I don't give a shit about my own day, why the fuck have I got to tell anybody else about my day? You know what I mean?
Well, just say it was okay, and then ask somebody else.
Yeah, but then
the pressure's no longer on you.
No, it's not on me anyway. But then I've got to listen to your day, and frankly, sometimes I don't give a shit. In this scenario,
that's fair enough. You don't have. Jesus.
You got to understand it from both sides of the coin, Alex. You're saying
no, because the other side of the coin is a cunty point of view.
No, because what if I've had a bad day? What if I had some bad news and you're
That's
there
not
like,
my problem.
"Hi everyone, how's your fucking day?" And I'm like, "Fuck off! I don't want to tell you about my day."
Yeah, but...
I'm just saying that the only reason I would not say thank you or ask you about your week is if I already knew, or I didn't want to tell you about my day, and you've just forced it out of me.
Tell me about your fucking day.
Yeah, you've just asked me about my day. I didn't give you any indication that I wanted to talk to you about my day, and now because of common courtesy I've got to tell you about my day, and then on top of that I've got to hear about your fucking day. You know what I mean? That's the only way I could see as a viable reason why somebody wouldn't say thank you and ask you about your day, is if you've done that.
Well, the irony is very apparent there, because this episode is all about catching up. And
I was just generically talking about that scenario. You know about my week. It's very boring.
Yes, and I'm sure you know about mine.
Yeah, I know you've been off sick for the last 2 days.
Yeah, boy.
I already know about your week.
But the listeners may not, although we do discuss it in the Zesty.
This one's what's coming out first? This one or the Zesty?
This one.
Okay, so then they wouldn't know. This would be them finding out.
Okay. Well, there you go, listeners. You got the inside scoop. I've been ill. Yay.
So glad.
Stay tuned for next episode when you'll hear the same thing. But yeah, apart from feeling like I'm gonna collapse and die of exhaustion, even though I'm not exhausted, and yeah, apart from that, I've been doing alright, you know, sort of just getting on with stuff, planning stuff for the future. We've got some possible plans for the future.
We've always got plans for the future. There's only some plans that are possible. You silly goose.
Oh, I'm such a silly goose. Yeah. So, what? So we've been doing the rounds lately, haven't we?
Yeah. Do you want me to ask a different question? And it might help you feed into this subject a bit easier than what you're currently doing.
Well, I was just going to go straight into it, but okay, but go on.
But then that sounds like a bit of a brag, isn't it? Which it is, but it's also we've got to be
it definitely is.
Yeah, we've got to be humble there. You can't phone me up in the middle
sorry,
of the week.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I was talking to my good friend Brad, and I just felt like my week was so much more significant to his. You can't do that and then be like, yeah, guess what, everybody, we did this. You know what I mean? So I'm going to ask you a question about your about your fortnight. We've had a very busy fortnight.
It's the guy from Fortnite.
Oh, we'll leave. I don't care how good and exciting. I don't care how good and exciting. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. You know what? I'm going to let you handle this on your own. If everybody thinks you're a cunt, then you're a cunt. I'm done helping you, you bastard.
So, how was your fortnight? What have you been up to?
No, I asked you that question. Clearly, you're the one that wants to brag about it, and as happy as I am...
No.
Yeah, go on. How was your fortnight?
No.
How was your fortnight?
Right.
How was your fucking... How was your fucking
Stop
fortnight? Forcing me. Shut up. How was your fortnight?
It was good.
All right, well, thank you for listening to the SFP. 7 minutes, that's the shortest podcast we've ever done.
Oh, dear. Yeah, no, the fortnight has been mental, mate, to be honest. And you were there, so you can corroborate that story.
Corroborate. Corn on the corroborate. Sorry.
It's always fucking food with you, isn't it?
Sorry, it just sounded right.
So, a while back, I messaged Josh and I'd said that I'd found tickets to go and see our friend Robbie Knox, who's been on the podcast a while back.
Yeah, boy.
And he was doing some DJing in Norwich. And I thought, well, what a fantastic opportunity to go and have a chat with him in person, because we've mentioned to him before. We even said on the pod itself that if we were in Norwich, would he join us for a pint? And he agreed. So that was pretty cool. And I thought, well, this is opportune sort of moment to go and meet him in person and have a pint and sort of get to know him a bit. So I booked tickets for that. And then a few weeks later, I think, was it a few weeks or is it? I think it was a bit longer than that. Actually, it was about a couple of months.
I don't know if it was months, but it was a while longer than a couple of weeks.
All right, we'll go month then, just to even it out.
Yeah.
Not that it really matters. About a month later, Josh phones me during the day, and he was like, "Mate, I need to talk to you about something really, really quickly." And I was like, "Okay, go for it." He's like, "There's tickets here available for the Happy Hour live show," and I was like, "What?" And we didn't know that this was a thing. Like, they'd sort of teased it a couple of episodes before when they said about it on. I should say that this is Jack Mate's Happy Hour. Obviously not.
Oh yeah.
Not everyone will know what we're on about. So, Josh said, "Oh, I can get tickets right now if I'm quick. Do you want to go?" I was like, "Yes, 100%." And that was also in Norwich. So we had 2 trips up to Norwich basically planned within
16 hours worth of travel over over 2 trips. Worth it, but 4 hours there, 4 hours back twice. So
it was a bit of a slog for the journey, but we're 100% worth it. Like
we're taking the train next time.
Yes. Yeah. So the time was nearing to the live show, and I was obviously really excited, as was Josh.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh was driving up because he loves driving.
Yep.
And we get there, and it was quite a while ago now, wasn't it? So I'm
2 weeks.
Think what we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got there and had a little bit of a wander about trying to find stuff because we parked up. Well, no, actually, the first thing we did was go to a petrol station, and I got accused of stealing sunglasses.
Oh yeah, that was just outside. That was about halfway into the trip, wasn't it? 'Cause we'd realised on the second go round how early that kind of came into our journey, that petrol station. But yeah, so Alex was looking at sunglasses. We just paid, and we'd given no indication that we were bad people. I'm very approachable. I try to be. Alex as well. He's just a bit more quiet. And I was chatting to the guy at the counter whilst paying for stuff, and Alex was just having a look at sunglasses. And he puts them back. It's very obvious. And the guy that hadn't even been in the shop at the time, he was out in the courtyard. He passed us as we're walking in. He stops Alex like, "Did you pay for those?" I was like, first off, we didn't even think about this in the time, Alex, but it's something to think about now. First off, you were outside when Alex was even around the sunglasses, so what indication would we have given that we wouldn't have paid for it? And 2, you've just assumed Alex was wearing his sunglasses like tucked into the top of his top. He always does that, and he's just instantly assumed that we'd stolen them.
Because we were sat in the car, weren't we? And he ended up walking over, tapping on the window. Yeah,
that was it. Sorry, yeah, we didn't. He passed us as we were entering the store, and then the next time we saw him he was coming out to tap on the window of the car to ask if you'd nicked them.
Yeah, and I was like, "No," and I was like, "What the fuck?" Because I don't look like a criminal.
No, definitely not. You're a pasty white ginger cunt, so definitely not.
Yeah. So that was a fun start to the trip, and then when we get to Norwich, we were like, "Oh well, we need to find somewhere to park," and we ended up driving through the town centre to start with.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Oh, I don't know whether we're supposed to be driving down this road or not."
Oh yeah, it looked like a footpath, but it wasn't. There was people. Yeah. It was like a slightly dropped footpath, but it's also a road as well. But it's not a very commonly used road. But there was roadworks.
No. Yeah, it was a diversion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we parked up, and then we were trying to find somewhere to exchange notes for the car parking sort of tariff.
Yeah.
And as we were on our trip down to where we eventually ended up, which was Morrison's, and we passed this church, and all of a sudden I looked behind because I was going to take a picture of this church because it's a nice church and I'm an old man. And I noticed this bloke, and he was walking behind us at a quite slow pace.
Yeah.
And he starts making this awful noise. I mean, it was like that. And I was like,
I didn't hear any of this, by the way.
No.
I still to this day cannot remember hearing any noise from this man. Or the first thing I heard of any kind of foul play was when Alex was like, don't look back, just keep going. I was like, shit, we've been in Norwich 5 minutes, we're going to get robbed. I thought, I survived 25 years in Swindon without getting robbed, I'm going to come to Norwich and within 5 minutes getting robbed. And it wasn't until we got down the road Alex explained what he's going to tell in this story now, because I'm not going to tell Alexis your story because I didn't fucking hear the bastard. But yeah, so I thought we were getting robbed.
So I was looking at this bloke and he was making this god-awful noise and he was starting to shake and I was like, oh God. And basically the best way I can describe it is he just went on to shit himself. And that's when I turned to Josh. I was like, just keep moving, because I thought you'd noticed it.
No.
And I went, just keep moving, because you were looking back. But you obviously just weren't looking at what I was looking at.
I was admiring everything. I was looking around. Oh, a new place.
Oh, what a pleasant smell.
Yeah, but I didn't hear his noise. That's what's still worrying me, as I didn't hear this, what was I assumed to be quite loud grunting. I didn't hear any of it.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I know
unfortunately.
You did.
So, yeah, we carried on. We got to Morrison's, we exchanged some money, and then we carried on back up. And when we got back to the same place, he was still making his way down the alleyway.
This wasn't a long alleyway.
Down.
Yeah, this was not a long alleyway. It was literally, if you were on a brisk walk, you would get down this alleyway in a maximum of 1:30. Like,
yeah,
it was not long. Brisk, sorry, just in case, brisk, is that quick, or is that...
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, even then, so brisk then, 45 seconds. You'd
yeah,
cut
I'd
that
say
trip.
that.
Yeah, 45 seconds. It was not a long alleyway at all.
No. Yeah, so he was walking past, a bit sort of shifty looking, and sort of skewed feet, like he'd obviously just shat himself. And we were like, oh, okay. Great experience straight off the bat in Norwich.
Yeah.
So after that, we went just for a bit of a wander, didn't we?
Yeah, we didn't know where we were going. The show wasn't for another 6 hours. We had a lot of time to fill.
Yeah. So we were looking for somewhere to eat, and we thought, oh, we'll go to the Murderers, because that's a pub that the happy hour crew go on about a lot.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we'll go there, we'll find some food and have a drink, and maybe we'll run into one of the guys down there. But we get there and it was shut. So that was a bit unfortunate.
Well, we later found out, which we'll go into later, it wasn't shut. They were just cleaning, and we were too nervous to go and sit down.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because we were getting there at 3, which again later on in the evening, Robbie would say, "Oh yeah, that is a bit too early," or Jack might say, "It's a bit too early," but yeah, and then it was actually open. They were just cleaning tables, and we were too nervous to go in.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So we carried on for a bit, and we found a few places, but they weren't ideal. One place didn't start serving food until like an hour later, and it was like, oh, for God's sake. And we ended up finding this Italian restaurant called Bella Italia.
It was accidental. We literally stopped on a corner, didn't we? Because I don't want people to think that we did go on a sightseeing tour just to see if we can see these places that are mentioned by a podcast that inspired us to do what we do.
We weren't being those guys.
No, we were just admiring the sights when we stopped. Last time we stopped and we checked maps. It's like, right, okay, was not a shitty fast food place. It's going to make us feel like ass after we eat it. And closest thing, we saw, oh look, there's a Bella Italia. We know Jack worked in a Bella Italia. Didn't think it was the same one. And we looked up, and I wish I was kidding, and we just saw it, didn't we? Straight ahead. It was the first thing we saw. Oh, it's right there. That's really close.
So, yeah, we went in there, greeted by this lovely, lovely lady
called Rachel.
Who we found out was called Rachel, and I still think that she thought we were a couple.
I still think she did, because the way you portray yourself is so...
Mate. I am... Yeah, I'm camp.
Yeah.
So... So she was like, oh, would you like a bowl of chips to share? And I was like, And you went, share? I'm not sharing with this prick.
Yeah. A lot nicer than that. I remember I'm the more approachable one out of us two, believe it or not.
So, yeah, she comes back, and then after we'd eaten, she was like, oh, well, what are you doing for the rest of your day then? So we said, well, we're going to see the happy hour. And she's like, oh, what's that? And we said, it's Jack, mate. Do you know him at all? She was like, oh, yeah, I used to work with Jack, mate.
Yeah, his cousin's the chef here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his cousin Reese was the chef, and he was close friends with this Rachel was waiting on us.
Yeah, they went on a American cruise, didn't they?
Road trip.
A little road trip, yeah. Which is nice.
So we got chatting with her, and one thing led to another, and she sort of said, "Oh, well, what's
that
your?"
That sounded like you shagged her. You can't do it like one thing led to another.
If she should be so lucky. And,
wow.
Nah. So yeah, she said, "Oh, what's your podcast?" Because we mentioned, and she said, "Oh, I'll put in a good word for you." I was like, "Oh, wow, that's really nice." So we left there on a high, obviously, and we went to find the waterfront where Jack and that was supposed to be performing.
Your fucking navigational skills to find this waterfront. I just remembered how much you pissed me off. In a nice way. I wasn't pissed off at you that I was frustrated with you. I was just like, it was, I'll let you talk because I can't.
Well, yeah, to cut a long story short there, basically, we knew vaguely where the waterfront was meant to be, and we'd passed it several times on this bridge, and it was in direct view, and we were like, oh no, I don't think it's that, or at least I said I don't think it's that, and we went this massive sort of circle around it, like the longest possible route you could take.
Fuck you. To put it into perspective, that alleyway with the shitting man, all we had to do was turn right out of that alleyway and we would have near enough been next door to the waterfront. Instead, we go left over a lovely bridge heading towards the cinema, right over, when we get over the bridge, turn right, go through a housing estate, turn right over another bridge, turn right again, which leads us back to the same road that the fucking alleyway's on, and there it is. I could see the fucking entrance to the alleyway when we got to the front of the waterfront. I was fuming. You got to remember, I'm 139 kilos, which is my own fault, but and it wasn't a cold day either. Like, it was a warm day.
You weren't 139 after that walk.
No, I was 138.
140 we stopped. So so we went and sort of scouted the place out, and then we went to the Queen of Iceni, which was the Weatherspoons that Rachel had mentioned in Bella Italia.
Yeah.
And we had a pint in there and sort of sat opposite the waterfront, hoping that they would sort of pop out and have a smoke break.
This sounds really fucking like we weren't obsessed. Like we gave. We were sitting there waiting for them to appear. We couldn't wait for their little heads to show up. We're here for you.
Let me just put this into context, okay? We have gone there to see people that we idolise, and it's not a bad thing to say that, because they've inspired us to make the OCP.
We said that to them. Little brag there.
Exactly.
We would have said it to them,
Yeah. So, for me to say, I was hoping to see them before the live show, that's not an unreasonable thing to say.
No, that's not unreasonable, but to say we waited for them to appear...
That's not what I said. I said we were sat in the Queen of Iceni having a pint, and we hoped that they would appear on a smoke break. That is very different to we were waiting for them round the corner in our little goblin cave.
I didn't say round the corner. You said you were waiting for them to appear.
Sort of sat opposite the waterfront, hoping that they would sort of pop out and have a smoke break. I was hiding under Robbie's Vauxhall.
No, we're not obsessive. We didn't.
No, we're not stalkers.
No, there were some very annoying people that night, but we weren't one of them.
No. So, and then the show sort of started or whatever, and we had to make our way over. So we stood out there for about, I'd say about 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was slightly drunk.
Yeah.
But I blame that on the fresh air.
No,
even though
I blame
we were drinking
that on
outside.
The fucking alcohol you drank.
So we were queued up, and we were sort of reading the signs and stuff. That was quite funny, actually.
That was good. Little session.
Because there were, like, upcoming acts and stuff. and some of them had really funny names.
Yeah.
So we eventually go in and we watch this live show. But to start with, so we go in and I'm bursting for a toilet. So I'm like, I'm going to go and find a toilet upstairs. And as I'm going in through the toilet, the first person I bump into is Alfie Indra, who is a semi-regular on the podcast, good friend of Jack's.
Good friend, yeah.
And a singer-songwriter and all that. And and I just bump into him and I'm like, all right, mate. He's like, yeah, you all right? I was like, yep. Don't really know what to say. It's the first time I ever saw Alfie Indra was at a urinal. So there we go.
You need to tell him that.
No.
I'll tell him that.
No, you're all right. You can do that.
Yeah.
So I come back out of the toilets and Josh has very courageously sat himself down.
Courageously?
In the middle.
Mate, I ain't sitting in any other seat than the front row. Are you mad?
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. I respect your decision, but it is very ballsy. Because
that worked out in our favour at the end of the show.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So Josh had sat himself down front row, middle. So I had to sit next to him, obviously, in the middle as well. And I thought, well, usually in shows, people get picked on in the first row, like to answer questions or say something.
But we would have had all the answers, though. That's the thing. This is the first time I would have happily been picked on at a show, because I don't think they would have said anything. And I did. I put my voice forward for one of the things.
Yeah, even when they weren't talking to you.
Yeah, first thing I said to Jack was glory hole.
Just like saying hello to everybody. Hello, Alfie. Hello, Stevie. Hello, Robbie. Jack, glory hole. So...
No, I guess I felt confident that I didn't care if I got picked on. Like we would have known, and because we've got a bit of a repertoire with Robbie anyway, I wasn't expecting him to know us as well as he actually did, which Alex and me will go on to in a minute. But like, I just didn't feel nervous, and that would go on to a later encounter we have with them on another day as well. That confidence being around them, because they're people that are so friendly and down to earth. It just didn't seem to affect me for the first time in my life. I wasn't nervous about.
No, you 100% smashed it, mate. Honestly.
Yeah.
So, and the live show was fucking brilliant. So if they do end up doing a tour, anyone that's listening, 100% definitely get tickets if you can. Yeah, the live show was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it felt so sort of inclusive at the end, because we were all singing the Wank song.
Oh yeah, that was good.
To anybody who doesn't know what the Wank song is, it's Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, but it's just the instrumental version, and the chorus where it goes du, 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 it's just the words wank replaced over it, and we're singing it to Stevie. So
a very good show. Very good show. Very funny.
Oh yes, very, very good. And so in that show we discovered that our good friend Tom Norris, Nozza, was there.
Yep.
And he was doing some filming. I remember saying to you, I was like, look to your right now. And you were like, yeah, I've already seen him. I was like, you didn't fucking tell me that. He's like,
oh,
no. Tom Norris is wandering about.
No, I'm sorry. I have come to terms with a bit of confusion. I thought you were pointing at the camera thinking, oh, we're going to be on a video or something. I didn't actually know it was Nozza until the second glance when you pointed it to me. Because it was dark in the room, and I just, in all honesty, I didn't expect to see him there. I didn't know how close he lived, and he later told us that it was a last-minute decision. So it wasn't until you pointed him out to me as it being Nozza that I was like, oh shit, that's Tom Norris. And you wouldn't have remembered, but I actually took a quick glance at you at the realisation of who it was, but you didn't see me. So you found out who it was before me. So
okay, fair enough.
I just saw the camera first, and I thought it was just because they had members of their team. Do you remember? It wasn't Nozza that came out when we were stood in queue. It wasn't Nozza that came out and started taking pictures, was it? It was like a young lad.
Yeah, it was a separate sort of thing.
Yeah,
right?
separate guy. So I thought, oh, it's just one of them lovely stagehands that were taking the video, and it wasn't until, like, say, you pointed it out to me, and I took that second glance when I realised it was Mr. Tom Norris.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool to see Nozza, because
it was.
We've obviously spoken to him a lot, and to see him in person, he's very tall.
Everybody was so surprisingly tall.
They were. I felt so dwarfed.
Yeah. But
and I'm not short.
No, we're not. We're above average in height for a male.
Yeah.
The average height is 5'9", and I think we're at the 5'10", 5'11" mark.
Yeah, that's it. I think so.
So to be kind of dwarfed by a lot of them was a little bit depressing.
Well, Jack's 6'4" apparly, according to Fiona.
Well, he looks fucking 6'4". Jesus,
it's huge, isn't he?
Yeah. All right. Suck his dick.
I was gonna say,
go marry him then.
I would. So, we also met Sam. Sam Bird, is it?
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So he runs the Instagram account for Jack's Happy Hour.
Yeah.
And he was a lovely guy as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was amazing, and it was weird because that was the first time Jack's ever seen his face as well. So he came to the show. I don't think he told Jack he was going to be. Oh, he did. Did he say he was going to try and get there? But he had a question. So. He put his hand up for a Q&A section at the towards the end, and he said his name, and Jack didn't snap straight away on who he was. So he's like, "Yeah, Sam Bird." On Instagram. Right, yeah, he's like, "Oh, you're right, mate," and he was waiting for his question. And what Sam was trying to get was like, "No, this is the first time we're meeting. I've been doing your Instagram for fucking a while."
Ages.
Yeah. And when it snapped, you should have seen Jack's face. He's like, "Oh, it's you." He's like, "Yeah, fucking hell."
Yeah, it was a class moment.
That was good. Fair play to Sam.
So, yeah, lovely guy. And we had a chat with him downstairs, didn't we, whilst we were waiting for the dancing and that to start later on. But yeah, so once the evening sort of progressed into the DJing and the dancing section, we went up and said hello to Tom straight off the bat.
Yeah, well,
and that was really fun.
You forgot Robbie recognised us first whilst getting off stage.
Oh shit! Yeah, fucking hell, I've forgotten about
that. We've never shown Robbie our face. We don't, not for any reason. It's just our podcasts are audio only. We don't have webcams, so we just do audio only. So for Robbie to recognise us first as he was going off stage, not first, obviously we were watching his show, but for him to, as he was saying goodbye to the crowd, he made an effort, and you'll see it in one of Sam's Instagram videos that he leans in and kind of waves in our face to show that he acknowledged us, I guess, which was nice.
He was effectively slapping us in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool because I was like,
we don't think
there was a moment in the live show, and whether this was what was the sort of catalyst for it or not, I don't know. But I was looking at him and he was looking at me, and there was like a good sort of 10 seconds worth of eye contact whilst he was sort of eyeing me like, who the fuck's this? And I was like, why is he looking at me like that?
Yeah.
And I think that was like the moment where he was like, oh shit, okay, I know those guys.
Yeah.
Don't know where from, but I know them. So that was cool.
That was good.
And then so once the dancing and that had, sorry?
But yeah, you got to the bit where we bumped into Nozzer at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went up and introduced yourself.
Yeah.
And you hadn't even finished introducing yourself, had you?
No,
and
I just said our names.
Just turned. Yeah. And that was really cool because he turned and he started hugging you, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm 100% down for this.
That was nice. It was nice really to know as well. They're a big group of huggers as well. Once you get to know them, they are a big group. They start off with a handshake because they've got to be a bit wary of you when you don't come across like a drunk fucking nuisance, and you get to actually just chat to them. They are more of a hugging group than they are a handshake group. So just a little tip out there for anybody.
Yeah. So Tom was lovely, and I remember the first thing I said to him properly was, "You're taller than I expected." And he's like, "Well, I don't really know how to take that, to be honest, Alex." I was like, yeah, "I'm not sure how I meant it, to be honest." But then we started having a bit of a dance on the floor because
kind of forced
Robbie,
into it.
Stevie.
Wow. We stood still. We stood. You kind of.
We didn't dance.
I wasn't in a position where I was comfortable enough to move my body in any way, shape, or form yet. That didn't come until a later interaction.
Yes. So and then I personally thought that was all we were going to get for the evening. I would have been 100% happy with that because at the end of the day we come to see a live show, and we've seen the live show. It was a fucking blast.
And there was 100 people there, so it wasn't a very big group, but still 100 people is 100 people. That's mental.
Yeah, excuse me. But yeah, and then we ran into obviously Tom, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they start coming off of the stage where they're doing all their DJing and that, and start mingling with the crowd. And I was like, okay, so there might be opportunity here.
Just to have a chat. We're not, you got to remember as well, we're not here to give them business proposals. We don't want shout outs from them until we've earned it. We don't want to be even associated with the Happy Hour until we've earned their respect enough to be so. So whatever interaction we've had with them over these next few stories was never for any gain other than their friendship. That is what we're aiming for, because out of everything I want to take away from our past experiences with them and any future ones that we hope to have, is just their friendship at the start. Everything else is a bonus. Their friendship is what we're aiming for.
Yeah, and as cheesy as that sounds, it's 100% true.
Yeah, you don't get through life by leeching off of people and hoping for benefits. You aim for friendships, and once you get to that point, everything else is just a bonus. That's how our life. I think we've been through enough shit when it comes to fake friends and backstabbers to realise that,
yes,
you know what I mean, we deserve to just aim for friendships, and whatever happens from there is, like I said already multiple times, is a bonus. That is our aim now in life. So if we were to ever do anything with them, I wouldn't expect them to shout us out. I wouldn't expect any Instagram stories, because I would rather their friendship over their clout and publicity, like their public figures and stuff like that. I hate that word clout as well. I hate that I said that. I will be a bit more serious in this podcast, because this is real life. You know what I mean? I'm not that we play characters, but I just don't think I need to be too over the top in this. Too alpha. Well, no, don't need to be too alpha.
You don't need to be insulting me too much either.
You are a prick.
It's a joint thing.
Yeah, when the time comes, I will. Don't you worry.
There we go. Great. So we creepily followed Stevie out of the room.
Not straight away. He was cool. There was a young lady in there that wanted them to sign her ankle, so she was going to go straight the next day and get tattoos. And even though they objected to the idea of it, Jack's obviously got his own history with bad tattoos. Stevie was the only one that was really like, well, after the show, come up to us and we'll sign it. So they pulled him into what we didn't know, but was a second bar room, which was no stage, no music, so it was just quiet. And
it was lovely.
It was lovely. We didn't intentionally follow them. We waited a few minutes. I don't think I saw Stevie go off, and we didn't go in that room for another 5-6 minutes. So we didn't stalkingly follow him in, which was good.
No,
but yeah, it wasn't long until we entered into that room. We were going to go downstairs first, but yeah.
So we went and had a chat with him, and he was lovely as well.
He was lovely.
We had a chat about baby Guinnesses and the designer outlet in Swindon.
Yeah, that's we try and find. Obviously, we know Swindon's not very well known for any good reasons. So whenever we meet our idols, I guess we say, well, just want to see if they know about us, really know where we come from, even though we're not necessarily proud of where we live. There is a bit of proudness in Swindon. Pride, that's it, thank you. Can you cut that last bit out? So I am currently using in the Zesty Life Hacks episode, I opened up a can and the tab fell off. I'm currently using that to scratch my mouse pad. So I'm listening to this lovely story, but I'm also really distracted. And I'm talking as well, so I'm distracting myself. So yes, we have some pride in Swindon. This? I don't know. I'm colouring it in right now. It's weird.
Oh, I get what you mean. Yeah.
That's
fair.
So yes, I have some pride in Swindon. As much as I don't want to live here for the rest of my life, I have some pride. Just want to see if they know it. And Stevie did. He knew it from our designer outlet. So thank you, Stevie.
Yeah. So we had a bit of a chat with him, and then we spoke again with Tom.
Yeah, they were all shocked that we've come. We didn't even travel the furthest, by the way. Swindon is a 4-hour drive from Norwich, near enough.
Yeah.
And they were shocked about the distance we travelled, but there was people coming from Wales. Mallorca with Sean, who we met later on in the evening. Lovely bloke. He came from Mallorca literally that day, didn't he? He flew in from Mallorca because he was going to fly back to Dublin after the show. Or the next day, sorry. Yeah.
The next day, I think.
So we didn't even fly, but they were lovely. They were shocked. Wow, Fort Swindon, that's mental. Obviously, Stevie used to travel to Bristol after shows, so he would have passed Swindon on the train, but it's not normally a stopping point, I don't think.
Not really, no.
No, so yeah, just lovely chat with him. Baby Guinness, you got that right. Yeah, he loves his baby Guinnesses. And he reiterated that he doesn't think himself entertaining enough to come on a podcast. So we're going to keep pushing with Stevie.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that he is interesting enough. It's just, obviously...
Human beings don't also believe a lot of the time that their story is interesting enough. There's nothing really interesting about my life, even though I've told it a few times, my life story, I guess. I guess he just doesn't think himself that interesting, but everybody's got a story, and we just need him to snap out of it. Stevie, if you are, on the rare chance, listening, you are fucking interested. Stop saying that. Come on the OCP.
Yeah, so we had a good chat with a few people. And as we were walking back through to the main room, we run into Jack. And you were like, it's Mr. Mate.
Yeah. I was like, hello, Mr. Mate. I will admit, in that moment, I forgot his surname.
So, yeah, we had a chat with him for about 3 seconds before these women start running through. And they're like, oh, Jack, please sign my tits.
I spoke to him just enough to ask him for a picture. And he was like, yeah, of course we can have a picture. And then he got bombarded with somebody with literally near enough her chebs out, asking for him to sign her tits. And we made a good joke about it. He said it a few times. When you can make your idol laugh, especially if that idol is in the comedy scene, it makes you feel warm. He said it about Ricky Gervais, and when we made him, Robbie, or Stevie laugh, or even Nozzer, obviously, it was a very nice warm feeling, and we understood our place. You know, tits were presented, so clearly we're not at the top of the food chain here in this scenario. So I started backing off as part of the joke, and he's like, sorry mate, this priorities. As a joke, he wasn't putting tits above us, but in the joke it was, priorities. I was like, don't worry mate, I've already taken a step back. I know my role. And that made him laugh, so that was a win for us there. A personal win as well. It was very good. So, and he never forgot about us, did he? In the whole time, because he was bombarded by another bloke who had been drinking, and he just patiently had this conversation with him, but he never looked like he was wandering off. He always kind of was heading towards us every opportunity he got. So thank you for that, Jack.
Top bloke.
Yeah.
And he come over to us, and I said, do you want to sign my tits? And he liked that. Yeah. But he didn't want to sign him, so...
Yeah, fucking sexist.
And then... we had our pictures, and Robbie came over and he tapped you on the arm, didn't he?
I was like, how are you doing, guys? Once again, he'd remembered us, and I know he hasn't got dementia. He wasn't going to forget us from the stage to the fucking back room. But it was just that nice. You got to remember as well, me and Alex don't think ourselves as rememberable people. This is one of the reasons why we were so nervous about doing the podcast in the beginning at all, is because there's nothing, same as Stevie's got his reasons, we don't necessarily believe we've got a lot of reasons to stand out, other than when you meet us personally. I hope that we give off an indication that we are approachable and you can, open up and talk to us about anything. I don't want anybody to ever have to stay silent about any issues they're facing. But me and Alex don't come across in a crowd, especially not as the overbearing. We can kind of sink into the corner, and we, in a non-creepy way, we know our time to pounce, I guess, if we can turn that into anything other than creepy. We know that you don't benefit from being overburdened. You don't benefit from being in people's faces. You don't want to be known as the hindrances or the nuisances. No. You want to be the ones that people come to us. And you know what, for the first time since making this journey, other than the lovely people we've met through the podcast, seeing them face to face, this was the first time I think we got any indication that we are playing the right cards here. But I don't think we would have gotten that chance if we were overbearing, drunk, and just in their face all the time. Because yes, they'll remember signing the tits, but they ain't going to probably remember your face. At least we've... You know what I mean?
I don't. And I had to bear witness to that in case he got me too'd later on.
Oh, yeah. You said he did have witnesses.
Yeah. So, we had a chat with him.
Yes.
And that was really nice. And then we had a chat with this guy called Sean, who'd flown in from Mallorca that night, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
And he was a top bloke as well.
Yeah. He's got a story to tell. I'm hoping, if you're listening, mate, we still want you on. We got you message on my Instagram, don't we? But Sean has got a story of his own, and I think it would be. We're not football guys, but Sean's story from what he wants to do, where he is now, and what he aims to do, just as a. And this is no insult to him because we're it too, but just as an average guy, is an incredible story that I can't wait to hear in full. So,
yeah, that's it. So good things to come there, I hope.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So before the night sort of ended, we went and found Jack again, and
that was nice because he was shooting off to go see Fiona when he hadn't seen Fiona all night, and we've got a 4-hour drive back because I wanted to be at home for Isabel the next day, and I think Kelsey was off as well, so I wanted to be at home with the family. I didn't want to be sleeping in Norwich and then getting back about halfway through the day next day. So he was rushing off, and I felt a little bit bad, but I said, Jack, before you go, mate, do you mind if we just have another quick chat before we shoot off? And without any hesitation, he obviously stopped and came straight over to us. And even though he made it clear, he, not to us, but whilst he was running essentially to Fiona, that he didn't have a lot of time, he had enough time to give me and Alex some lovely advice on what to do with us and the podcast. And it is advice that, even though we've done a lot of it just naturally, it was nice to hear, because we kind of know what to focus on, don't we, to continue our journey.
Yeah, and the fact that the advice was basically what we were doing anyway. Yeah, it's nice to know that we're on the right path.
Yeah, and it was another way we made him laugh. So he said that obviously you got as a joke, you got to have your alpha, because obviously we all know him and Stevie don't have this alpha and beta relationship off screen. It's very mutual, and we've seen that in person, but on screen and on podcasts, it's a very alpha and beta relationship. And he said, you just have to pick the alpha out of you two. And Alex put his thumb up, and I said to him, just off the cuff, it was just the combination of your thumb up and my comment was incredible. It was the perfect embodiment of us as people. Alex put his thumb up, and I pointed to him and I said, well, it ain't gonna be you fucking ginger, you're already screwed, or something like that. And Jack was cackled over in laughter, you were laughing, and it was just the perfect. And he said, I was like, that's it, that's what you're looking for. I was like, well, that's great, that's what we do anyway. So that's brilliant.
That's it. We had this group of lads that were sort of stood by us, and earlier on we'd sort of mentioned that we do a podcast, and they heard, and they were like, oh, you do a podcast? And we were like, yeah. So you were talking to Jack, weren't you?
Yeah, I was chatting to Jack.
And I was chatting to these guys, and I was trying to sell the OCP to them, obviously. And this really surreal moment happened where you're talking to Jack, making him laugh, and then all of a sudden these guys just start playing the OCP theme.
Yeah.
And they show Jack.
Yeah.
And it was this really weird clash of worlds where the OCP has now met the happy hour. Yeah. And it was just, what the fuck is going on? And it was so mental. But I was on cloud 9, mate.
It was good, wasn't it? Especially for a man that was rushing off to go see his lovely fiancée, and we were there stopping him, and he made time to have these moments with us, and that's just like, no matter how he portrays himself online. And one of the big things he says is that some people just come up to him and call him a cunt, and in a way, it's a jokey way, but that is not. It's not how you'd approach another human being if you didn't know them. Like, you got to remember as well is that we went in there knowing that Jack didn't know anything about us. Stevie, Robbie maybe a bit more than anybody else, and Nozza, but other than that, they didn't know who we were as people, no matter how much we knew about them. So we went in with that mentality. We went in knowing they didn't know anything about us. Just don't. If you meet them, don't go up to them and just call them a cunt. Because it does actually,
you don't appreciate it.
It does piss him off, and the likelihood is he's probably not gonna want any future relations with you. I know we wouldn't. So
no. So that was pretty much the night. We ran into those lads again at the end, didn't we?
Yes.
And they were like, "Oh, it's the OCP," And that was pretty cool. And we chatted to them for ages about McDonald's.
We were going to shoot off, weren't we? And then,
yeah. And they ran into us.
Yeah.
And they were lovely as well. Really nice guys.
Yeah.
And then that was basically it. We left. We said goodbye to people.
Yeah, we made an effort to go and say goodbye, and we got another hug from Tom Norris, which was nice. A lot of handshakes around. So that was it for the live show, and it was so lucky because I saw Stevie's tweet an hour after he posted it, and I was thinking, there's no way in hell. And I went straight on the website, and all the show and club combination tickets were sold out, but the solo tickets, so buying them separately for club and show, were still available. So I nabbed two of each of them up, and I'm so glad we did it. And me and Alex have mentioned behind the scenes a lot that obviously we have made it very clear this is what we want to do. We don't want to necessarily become ultra famous. I just want to spend time at home with my family and do something that I enjoy before I die, and this is the best path for me, I think. So then to get that luck that everybody preaches about on YouTube or in this industry, is that everything is based on hard work and luck, and I think we've made it. We've done the hard work as best we can with full-time jobs, families as well, which are, other people have as well. But then that luck came in when me and Alex both got two separate sets of tickets for two separate events, that were only a week apart from each other as well. You know what I mean? And it was luck, and I think we can finally tick that box now of we've had the luck. We need to put more hard work in, but we're already putting hard work in, so it's just doubling up. But we just have to have the time to do it, which is the only unfortunate bit.
Well, that's it, but I 100% believe it's possible.
Yeah, and that is, again, to reiterate, if anybody is listening from the Happy Hour team, we love you. We are not in it for your... what's the best way to put it? We're not in it for you. We're
not in it to leech off you.
That's it. Yeah, we're not here to leech off you. Genuinely want your friendship more because you're just sound guys and gals, and it was lovely to meet you. So that was the live show.
So that was a live show, and then we had the DJ set. Basically a week later, and it was again a 4-hour trip up to Norwich. And we get there and have some food. We go up to the Brickmakers, which is where it was. And we park up, and I saw this guy standing out there with some long hair and
big beard,
some jeans and some beard, and I said, that's Robbie, isn't it? And I'm pretty sure you were like, nah, that's a woman.
No, I wasn't. I said, that's Robbie. Yeah, I said, no, I think you're onto something there.
I remember you saying something about a woman.
That was a joke. There was a woman walking past. I never referred to Robbie as a woman.
Oh, well, I was bricking it at the time, so I
don't really I'll let you off then.
So turned out to be Robbie.
Yeah.
And as we got out of the car, I have to say as well, you're a twat as well, Josh, because
me?
Because I was listening to my rock playlist the other day.
I already know what you're going to say.
I'm just listening to a bit of Judas Priest and Saxon and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows comes on. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And Josh, being the absolute twat that he is, went and found all these stupid songs and added them to my playlist. I think there was about 4 of them on there.
Only 4? I think you're missing some, brother.
Oh, God.
It's more than 4.
So, occasionally I stumble across one and I'm like, oh, God. I took a screen recording of it the other day. I was going to send it to you.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Oh, my God. I did that deliberately. I was trying my best not to make you see it whilst we were driving up.
That's funny.
Sorry.
That's all right. So, we get out of the car, and straight off the bat, Robbie's waving at us.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty cool moment, because it was like, oh, okay, that's mental. He's like not seen us in a week, and just to confirm that sort of thing of, oh, he does know who we are now. It was pretty cool. He got out of his chair. He come over and he shook our hands, and mentioned that Max Fosh Fiona, and
possibly
his
Stevie.
wife.
And Bev. Yeah,
Bev.
Bev was coming.
Yeah, and possibly Stevie. And we were like, whoa, that's mental. Like, we obviously just came down to support Robbie, and all of these guys are going to be here as well. That was not planned in the slightest.
Like, the night would have been great just with us with Robbie. Like, we genuinely didn't go down there with the intention. We just wanted to show our support for a man that we're grateful to call a friend now, you know, and it was lovely. That 4-hour trip to something like that is something that we'd make for our closest friends. So to do it for him wasn't any different, really. Especially the way they treated us on the live show as well. Like, again, me and Alex don't think of ourselves as standout guys, but for him we had walked 2 feet from your car, and he'd spotted us. Like, that's insane. And there was no time of, is that them? Is that not them? Like, I think we stand out more than we let ourselves get credit for.
Well, yeah,
because
it's like you say, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost.
That's it. Yeah, that is how I referred to us most of that night. But it was an instant, and it was just so heartwarming because it was nice to know that we have made an impact on people's lives they're already living such amazing lives.
And now they've got us in them.
Yeah, and to know that we made
You're welcome.
We made an impact that strong that he took less than a second to recognise us. Admittedly, we found out later on in the day the guy he was talking to, he'd only met maybe 10 minutes prior to us turning up. So I think he was very happy to see some familiar faces turn up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, did not know. He only met that guy that night, and I think he was just trying to have a conversation with somebody else. But
so maybe he didn't know who we were. He's like, fucking hell, these guys do.
No, he definitely remembered. You know that better than anybody because you were walking slightly ahead of me and he got off his chair to come and greet us. So
yeah. We had a bit of a chat with him, didn't we, for about an hour?
Yes, inside the venue. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really nice because we were stood by the bar just having a drink, and he came over to us.
Yeah, there you go. He came over to
started chatting. And you offered to help him move house.
That's my I don't have a lot of skills in life, and being a truck driver is one of the things I'm very proud of. So yeah, I always offer it. I was like, because I don't want any gain from it. I literally said, as long as he pays for the truck and the fuel, I said I'll pretty much do it for free because that's what I'd offered again to friends. I would do that. And I like to drive, so. And he initially thought I was in a removal company, so his eyes lit up. He's like, "Oh, you do removals?" I was like, "No, I just drive trucks." I was like, and he sounded like he's genuinely going to take me up on the offer of helping him move house, because he's recently moved to Norwich, but he's had to leave some stuff in his old house. So
that's it. So hopefully that goes through, because that would be pretty cool.
Hopefully, and he said he would pay, but I honestly don't believe I'll take him up with that. Like, if he just the travel cost of fuel and truck hire, that's.
We'll just have a cup of tea later on.
That'll do. Exactly.
Yeah. So, what happened after that? Oh, yeah. So, Max and Jack come in at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not too familiar with Max Fosh.
I'm not with his content, but I love his happy hour episodes.
Yeah. I should say that I've listened to them,
but
I didn't really know what content he produced.
Other than running for London Mayor last year, I didn't know lots. I knew he was a good guy. But yeah.
So they came in and Robbie shot off to go to the toilet, I think.
I think so. It wasn't an issue. It was like 10 minutes after they arrived as well. Like, again, we didn't just stop our conversation with Robbie because Jack turned up. No. Robbie had to leave to go to the toilet 10 minutes after they turned up. And then we saw them go outside and it was getting really warm. So we went outside.
Had to go out because it's fucking hot.
It was. And again, like, if you were getting hot, like, I was melting in there. And I don't want to sweat in front of these people. I don't want to come across like a sweaty fucking mess. So I'm there, like, secretly trying to dab my face to stop myself looking like I'm sweating like a pig whilst having this lovely heart-to-heart, in some cases, chats with these people. So standing outside was the best course of action for me as a person, but obviously it was getting hot because you were getting hot as well.
Yeah. But yeah, trying to explain this is really hard because it just sounds like we're being really sort of sycophantic fans.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm trying to correct us on what we're.
I get that.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to mention, like, just because we saw him turn up didn't mean we ran over screaming, "Oh my god!" Because people did do that on the live show, by the way. and it was cringy as fuck. But obviously, respect the fact that you like them that much. Fair play.
Yeah, but we're not those sort of people.
We're not them,
no. Yeah, so we went and stood outside because it was bloody hot.
Yeah.
And they were out there having a chat with somebody.
Yeah.
And so we obviously didn't want to intrude. And you went and stood a bit closer to them because you were just sort of... We were going to go back inside, I think.
Yeah, we were being ushered inside, and they were stood by the door because they were literally seconds away from going in. They got stopped by the only other like younger person there. So
yeah,
you know what I mean. We had so many opportunities to talk to them because we were the only, other than one other younger lad. A lot of people were there just for the music and the venue, I guess, which was really nice. But they were being ushered in by security because they were by the door, and people were drawing a crowd and having a conversation. So I was like, oh, you know what? We might end up going in the building before them, but I just want to see if he recognises us. To be honest with you, because that's a big green tick for me. Is if he does recognise us, he's portrayed himself this way, and he is actually genuinely this kind of guy. So that was it. My only intention was to shake his hand, say hello, and go back inside and let him enjoy his night. Obviously he was there with Fiona, and they were talking to the couple we would then go on to speak to later on in the evening, but they were talking to them, and their conversation was coming to an end. He saw me, Jack saw me through the conversation. He's like, oh, you're right, mate. And I shook his hand, and I did. I asked the question. I was like, do you remember me? He's like, yeah, of course I do. Copycat, sent you. I was like, oh yeah, he does. He's good, he is. And then Fiona said hello, and we didn't get a chance to see Fiona at the live show because she was busy with Katie. Cut that Katie.
Yeah.
So we didn't get a chance to stop her and have a chat with her, but she was lovely. And this time round, we got that chance. And she said, "Oh, you were the guys at the live show." And for somebody we didn't even get a chance to speak to remember us was incredible. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh yeah." So we shook Fiona's hand and said, "Oh, lovely to meet you, Fiona." And she was genuinely astounded we knew her name. Yeah, you're the Fiona.
It's like, do you know how the internet works?
Yeah. But she was lovely, wasn't she? So they actually walked away from the door then. They were going to go inside, but when they started the conversation with us, I think they noticed it was a bit different from the kind of semi-drunk one they were having before. So they pulled away from the door, and we started chatting outside, didn't we, for a while? And they asked us our meal deal, and I got a rating of 5.2, which was a bit disrespectful, but hey-o.
I got 5.9.
You got a 5.9. But yeah, that was really nice. And that was when we knew it was going to be a different kind of night, wasn't it? It was when we were able to have that chat with not only Robbie, we had an hour with Robbie near enough, and then to be outside and having just normal non-YouTube, more personal life conversations with, again, these people that we do idolize. We don't idolize mainstream media celebrities anymore. Our idols are the internet people that we scrounge ourselves with their entertainment and content.
That's it. The OCP is basically a B-Tech version of the Happy Hour.
And you said that, yeah.
Yeah, and I told him that.
That's it. And he liked that. And I think I also told him that we've been recommended on a few of his listeners, like Spotify's, after they've listened to a Happy Hour episode.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so that was mental.
We chatted to them for about 45 minutes, didn't we, outside?
It was, as them as a duo, it was, half an hour, 45 minutes.
And then Jack went inside.
I think it was getting close to Robbie's...
Fiona for a bit.
Yeah, it was getting close to Robbie's set.
That was quite funny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we'd come to see Robbie. He ended up chatting to Jack and Fiona outside, and then he'd come out and he's like, "Robbie's on, guys, by the way." You're like, "Oh, shit." So and Fiona goes, yeah, we'll be in a minute.
I think we started
then
chatting...
He comes out.
Yeah, we started chatting to both of them at about around the 9:30 mark. I'm trying to get a time scale. And then by the time Jack had gone in, Robbie's set was at 10:30. So by the time Jack had gone in, I think it was about 10:20. And then we had another half an hour chat with Fiona about just everything else. And yeah, like Alex is about to say, Jack had to come out like twice to remind Fiona, like, Robbie's on. Like, come inside. And she's like, yeah, bear with me. Like, a minute.
I was like, I'm so sorry, Jack.
Yeah. I felt bad because Fiona was stood out in the cold. And I was like, thank God she's got a big jacket on.
Yeah. So we went inside. We had a bit of a dance about it, didn't we?
Yeah,
Well, you did.
I bobbed. Like, I don't know if I'll call it dancing, but it was nice because
bobbed on Max Vosh.
No, he bobbed on me. I just grabbed his hips and shouted, "I'm a happily engaged man," which he later on referred back to me when I had to go up to him because we started chatting outside, and after the conversation was kind of ended, I had to go back to him and be like, "Look, I just want to say as well, Max, you were the guy I was the guy you were grinding on." He's like, "Ah, yes, you were the man that shouted you were happily engaged." I was like, "That's me." So he did it. Kelsey loved that as well, by the way, when I told her.
It's funny.
Yeah, but we never felt like we were leeching as well. Every step of the way through that, we know our limits. We know when we can be clingy to people. I think we've both been in personal situations where we had to take a step back so that we're not too overbearing for some people. Because as you all know, as listeners for the podcast, and Alex will know, is I ramble, especially when I'm passionate about something. So I didn't want to come across like that. So I was waiting for my opportunity to step back and let him just enjoy his night. He's there for his mate with his fiancée. They are there to have a good time. They don't want to be bombarded by, at that point, was just fans. So I knew that. But not once did we feel like we were clingy or attacked. They wanted us there. And that was so nice. It was such a different feeling. And there was one moment, and I don't know if Jack would feel the same, but I thought he looked a bit lost because he'd lost us in the crowd. Obviously, Jack's, again, 6'4". You can't really lose him. And as soon as he noticed me and Alex, he made a beeline for us so that he was around, again, people that he was familiar with. And that was really nice to be a part of that collective that made him feel in that moment more comfortable than he would be on his own, which was nice.
Yeah, that's it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was nice.
We had a bit of a dance about, and we had a drink with Jack and that.
Yeah, and that's when Alex's Instagram story was made whilst we're at the front of the dance floor there next to the stage.
I was so nervous to take that video. Cause...
I know you were, because I was doing a lot of the talking, and again, I'm sorry for doing so, but I feel like it needed to be me, because I'm just...
Yeah.
I thrive in that environment, which is a shock to me. Only in the recent few years have I realised. But yeah, so you did very well. That video was great, and they saw it, and they saw you recording, and they were very involved in your video, as you can see from anybody who's watched it. They're very involved.
Yeah.
And I'm having a chat with Jack towards the end of Alex's video because they were trying to get Jack up on stage, and Jack was saying it's not about me, it's about Robbie. So fair play to him for having those morals. You know, it's not about him, and it's nice that he realizes that, which is nice. But I whispered in his ear, I thought you were going to get up on stage and strip, mate. And I was expecting like no, not me. But he was like, I was debating here. I was like, man, I was going to throw you some tenors.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. So that was that bit.
Then they all caught a taxi and went off into town, didn't they? So that was basically the end of the night for that.
We were invited as well. I do want to add that. We were invited. There's nothing a big secret about that. We were invited out into town with them.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get home the next day to be with Isabel because Kelsey was at work. So didn't happen this time, but you never know. Don't never say never.
Always a next time.
There's always a next time. But yeah, we left that night really. We went back in to say goodbye to Robbie, which again I was very glad we did because we were outside at the time and it was not an inconvenience to go through, but we couldn't have guaranteed we'd even have gotten up there and grabbed his attention for another 10 minutes or so, but we got lucky. He looked us dead in the eyes and he came and gave us a little cuddle and as well. And then by the time we got back out, the guys were still not in their taxis, were they? We'd said goodbye to... No, sorry, I'm mixing it up. So we'd said goodbye to the other guys first, didn't we?
Yes.
And Jack, we were talking to Max about stuff, and you had him make a lovely personal video for your brother for his birthday.
Yeah, he was really nice.
He was very nice. And Jack, out of nowhere, before he got in his taxi, he just came over and hugged us.
Yeah,
which was
that was mental. Insane.
That was lovely. Fiona was a big hugger as well, which was lovely. She gives out very good hugs. Thank you, Fiona. That's what I mean. That's what I said earlier. Like, they are a huggy group, but you have to earn that respect, I guess. Don't just bombard them. They may not class themselves as celebrities, and fair play to them for not and being so humble about everything, but they have got a following and I think they're so used to people just being so overexcited or intoxicated that they they lock themselves up a little bit, don't they? I think we got that at the beginning, and it wasn't until we had, this was a good couple of hours of conversation and being around. Like, Jack bought us a drink, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't happen very often. We did offer him one though, so it was, cheers, Jack. We offered you one first, mate. Get in line. But it's just they were able to loosen up a little bit and show a bit more of themselves.
Yeah,
and that was nice. It was nice to have that extra. I'm not saying it happens every time, but we got lucky because, again, the night was that we were there for Robbie, and that was incredible what we got with Robbie, let alone everything else. But yeah,
they're all top guys.
Yes,
even the gals.
Yeah, top guys and gals. And happy birthday to Alfie Indra's girlfriend as well, who was it was her birthday on that night too. So happy birthday.
So I will say that some people might be hearing this and going, "Oh, fucking hell, they're bragging," or whatever. And I think there's an element of that is true to a degree, because we've worked so fucking hard to get to where we are. So we're allowed to be excited about things.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, you are right. We're very proud of what we've achieved and the friendships that we build. But that is it. Like, that is what we're aiming for right now, is the friendships. We're not going to come on here every episode from here on out and be like, oh, by the way, we're now known by the happy hour, that, because that makes us feel shit. Like, that's not going to benefit us in the long run at all.
That would annoy me if I heard that.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why we're making it a one episode, and this has actually turned out to be a lot longer than we thought. But
I thought it was just going to be like 15, half an hour.
But this episode is essentially us having memories in one episode, so we can listen back to this in years to come and be like, oh, that's what happened in that fortnight, And it's this is what we thought an interaction like this was not going to happen for a good few more years. We have officially ticked our luck boxes, but it's not just down to luck as well. If we portrayed ourselves any differently to how we did that night, we would not have gotten as close to them as we're thankful to have gotten. Like, whether we're bragging or not, it's because of the people we portray ourselves to be, and it's who we are. That's the reason we are able to even have this episode talking about these events, because I don't drink, and for the first time ever I feel like I'm glad I don't drink, even though I've never cared about drinking. This is the first time. I'm used to sitting on the sidelines and watching my mates get drunk and be like, fuck's sake, I'm with these. I've had to babysit so many drunks out in town because they're fucking acting mental because they've had some alcohol in them. This was the first time I was glad that I don't drink, because there was no pressure and I could have conversations again with people that now, thankfully, we can call friends. But they are also the people that inspired us to do what we're doing now. So
that's it. And I think it's deserved. It deserves a mention that obviously we wouldn't be where we are anyway without all the listeners.
No, yeah, exactly.
So we have to thank you guys as well.
Yeah, we hope. I don't know how much of an impact we made on your lives. I'm hoping that listening to us, it helps you in any way, and we've had some lovely messages. I don't think still to this day we've not had negative comments, which I think we are very lucky to have. A lot of people don't interact, which is fine, but the people that do are always so positive, and it's so nice to not be on the ass end of the internet with our content. And it's not like we're PG. Like, I'm an asshole to Alex, and that is primarily just an exaggeration of who we are as people, but it's nice, and I'm hoping one day we get to a level where having these shows is what our listeners want, because I can't wait for the day that I love meeting new people.
Stay tuned for the OCP live show.
No, I still want to do OCP on the road. That will happen at some point.
Yes,
but again, like, thanks to this podcast, we've got friends in America, we've got friends in Australia, we've got the OCP, in a very small sense of the word, is international, and it's you know what I mean? It's amazing to think about. We're just two random guys from Swindon who I didn't get any GCSEs. I think the only thing I passed was engineering, and that was a pity pass, I think. For so long, I thought I had to follow the footsteps of my lovely father, and it's nice to now have my own dreams and aspirations of where I want to see myself in the next 10 years. And
yeah,
as much as the hard work we've put in over the last 2 years has been incredible, the hard work we put in the last 2 weeks of just being ourselves has had the biggest impact on our future of being podcasters or online entertainers that has ever happened. And I didn't think that was going to happen for another few years yet. So I can finally say that I believe people when they say that luck is such a massive part of making it, or even potentially making it in this industry, is because without the things that happened over the last 2 weeks, Al, we wouldn't have, like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have been able, we would never have stopped because we love doing this. We're not just in this for any kind of financial gain. This is open up a part of me that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
But
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And I think if we don't act on it now, then it would have all been for nothing.
Yeah.
So it's prime time now to say, guys, expect big things in the future from the OCP.
Yeah. Big things that we can't tell you when, because we don't know when, because again, as much as we love doing this, that is not our priority. I don't want whatever relationships we build up to just be a business relationship. You know what I mean? It's and that goes for any relationship we build up, whether it be with our idols or fans of us. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that any interaction we have with anybody is not for financial gain on either part. A friendship must come first, and that's what we're aiming for right now, is a friendship which will then blossom into whatever it needs to blossom into. But that friendship is the core of what we're aiming for, and we're not gonna sway from that. So even though, yes, we have got big things, and I'm very excited for the OCP futures endeavours, but I couldn't tell you if it's going to be a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, because I don't. How long's a piece of string?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's going to happen. These big things that we will tease in this episode, and probably this episode only, up until closer to the time. But yeah, we're not going to put a timestamp on it because I don't want to rush the beauty of a friendship. So ours is 17 years in the making, and I still think you're a prick.
I would argue, but I can't be asked.
No, you know your place. You know your place. Jack knows your place now as well. But
I think that's a good place to sort of end it.
I think so, and I hope we haven't come across like we're bragging, because yes, it is something we're proud of. We are not those kind of people, and as proud as we are, we've been in contact, we've spoken, and there are plans in the future for, you know, take from that as you want. I think it's pretty obvious what those plans might be at this point. That's not who we're not big braggers, and like I said, unless one of us slips up and mentions it again in another episode, this will be probably the only time we mention this, because that's for us, really, isn't it? It's whatever happens is for us, and you listeners will benefit in the future, but
we just want to bring you in.
Yes.
Hope that you share our excitement with things.
You're definitely a part of the reason we still do this. You're a big part of the reason we still do this. Sorry for the inconsistencies. The podcast studio is nearly done. We are getting there. Every Saturday we have plans to record multiple episodes if things go well. But life comes in the way and it shafts us big time.
Well, that's it. Next week we've got a video recording we're doing for our police series 10-4.
Yep.
And that's going to be the first proper sort of big production thing that we're doing so far.
Yeah, it's going to start off really cheesy and corny, and then hopefully by the end of it it's going to be high production and big budgets. That would be nice.
Yeah, hopefully.
10-4
we've all got to start somewhere.
Exactly. 10-4 is something I see progressing very well, but then there are big plans for us in the far future of what we want to do as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
we'll get to that. So yeah, join us next time. Well, next time we'll be talking to Zesty Life.
That's it, yeah. And that is, it starts off, you bear with me, I'm a bit fucking half asleep, or what, I don't know what my reason is. So bear with the beginning bit, but you're going to love the middle to end, I promise. And not because it's just the end of us talking.
Yeah, I don't really talk much in there.
I know, it's brilliant.
All right, then. I'll catch you in a bit then, Josh.
Yeah, catch you in a bit, dude. Thank you again, listeners.
All right. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was a good episode, wasn't it, Josh?
That was brilliant.
That was really good. I especially enjoyed how everyone sounded.
Yeah.
We're here just to say before you go, could you please spread us around? We'd love it if you could just tell your friends about us and potentially leave us a review where you can.
You can rate now on Spotify.
Yes, you can. You can rate us. So
if you could rate us 5, we'd really appreciate it. But if not, that's fine too.
If you do rate us 5 or anything above, I know you can't, but if you somehow hack the systems, I will personally...
Don't continue.
Thank you.
That's better.
There we go.
Well done. So yes, if you could please feel free to follow us on all the socials.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.